Spirituality in martial arts. Now, a lot of people don't really associate those two together, understandably, because firstly, when you think of martial arts, you can think of violence. And when you think of spirituality, you can think of peace. And how do those two actually marry together? Well, first and foremost, you can think of its origin. So if you look back at least in Kung Fu origins, the disciple or the lineage student of the Buddha, Bodhidharma, was the founder of the Shaolin Temple. So the Shaolin Temple was a place for enlightenment, meditation, to help one evolving their consciousness, to develop spiritually. But they started to practice martial arts, both for physical health, but also to protect themselves from anyone who'd be raiding or attacking the temple. So a big part of the origins of Kung Fu, at least, so martial arts, was to develop oneself spiritually. Now, apart from that, there's also the levels of personal refinement, the mental discipline and focus that is required in order to evolve yourself in a martial context. And if you look deeper into the actual teachings, especially in Kung Fu traditions, you'll see that there's a lot of teachings on both the energetic system, so the etheric body or chi body, and how that links to the emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, and even further into mastery of the elements, so fire, air, water, and how mastering the elements links to your spiritual nature. So is there a link from martial arts to spirituality? 100% there is. So it's an absolute pathway for one's development, both on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual way. But the most important thing really, if you think about it, is not so much to just listen to the theories, the ideas, and the knowledge, read it and just take it at surface level, is to enter into the truths of it. Meaning, take the teachings that are given and see if you can actually apply them in your life. For example, one of the deepest, most beneficial spiritual practices, which can start as a physical thing but evolve into spirit, is relaxation. Meaning, in Kung Fu and in martial arts, often we're told to relax the body so that it's free of tension. So it can be faster, more powerful, more fluid, more spontaneous. But then when you take that even further and deeper, the question becomes, how does one relax? What does one do to relax? What is relaxation? How does one allow the actual physical body to dissolve tensions? And then what you'll find is that as you peel back the layers, you realize that the physical body's tensions are reflective of the emotional tension. The emotional tension, stress, fear, doubt, worry, blame, complaint, anger, is linked to mental tension. So positionalities, subconscious programs, or belief patterns. And those tensions in the mind and the emotions need to be released and let go of. Then further, how does one relieve the tension in the mind and the emotions? Via connection to spirit, to something greater. There's a really good lesson that one of my students really enjoys, and I like it too. And it says, it's from A Course in Miracles, which is a spiritual text which has a lesson each day for you to contemplate and meditate upon. And it says, trust in my infinite power, like God or Christ's infinite power, or your own weakness. So it's like, are you going to attune to the power of the infinite intelligence, the creator of the universe, or are you going to attune to your own little weakness, like the power of your brain and your body? So, what am I getting at here? In order to alleviate the mental and emotional tension, which leads to physical tension as well, unification and alignment with spirit becomes a primary. Meaning, spiritual intention, especially in our system, is alignment with your highest intent in life. And that's something you kind of set via your decision, your spiritual will. Peace, joy, love, kindness, prosperity, freedom, acceptance, forgiveness, courage, enlightenment, whatever it might be. So via placing your attention on your spiritual intention, what you'll notice is that if you can get yourself into an alignment with that principle, with that field of consciousness, it starts to alleviate tension within the mind. It starts to let go of force within the emotional system. So what happens here? The spiritual intention and alignment with it leads to a sense of calm, and it leads to a sense of expansion, connection, and wholeness in the heart, in the emotions. So you'll know that, okay, I'm getting into my spiritual intention. I'm aligning with my spirit self, my higher level of self, via the feeling quality. So we can look at the beginning stages. Okay, we're told to relax our body, but then as you go deeper with it, you realize, okay, in order to relax the body, I need to relax the emotions, I need to relax the mind, and then, okay, in order to relax those, how do I do it? It's unification with spirit is the deepest possible levels. Now, another way of saying that is unification with or alignment with the field of consciousness itself. So, to take this a little further, the body cannot experience itself. So if your body does not have a mind, it won't experience itself. It's just a dead body, a piece of meat and some bones and organs lying on the ground. Now, the mind gives it a greater context to experience itself. And then you can go even further than that. If the body needs a greater context to experience itself, the mind, then the mind needs a greater context to experience itself also. Just like if you're watching a movie at the cinema, it needs a screen for you to be able to see it. There needs to be a screen for you to experience the mind. And the mind is experienced in the greater field of consciousness. So consciousness allows us to experience the mind. So you can see how martial training, when you go to the deeper levels, especially through the internal and Kung Fu systems, lead you into your spiritual nature. Because if you really want to reach the highest levels, if you really want to reach into your potential, you need to explore and understand what you are. What are you made of? And what is life about in relationship to you? So there's a few key details on how, martial arts and spirituality are actually unified. And a very simple way of putting it is that, we are spiritual in our nature. And whatever you really apply yourself to, there will be some level of spirituality within it because you're a part of it. However, there are specific pathways which you can evolve through, whether it's meditation or religious practice or spiritual concepts or mindfulness or yoga or whatever it might be. So, for those of you who are looking for the depth of spiritual upliftment and mental evolution and martial skill development, then internal Kung Fu is absolutely a way you can do so. If you are interested in learning the method I teach at One Tao Academy and One Tao Family, we've got a free online community where we've got video courses and trainings for you to jump in absolutely free so you can get the experience of spiritual martial arts. The links are probably below this video. Any questions, you can also, I'm not really gonna answer comments on social media just because I haven't got the time to, but if you jump into my free community, I tend to answer questions in there. Alrighty, thanks for spending time with me today and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Peace.